Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam
Paramparam.
Om Sahana-Vavatu Sahaviriyam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamavahai
Shanti Shanti.
Okay, so we will carry on with from where we left off. We were in the verse number 5. Verse number 4 we had completed. So we'll chant verse number 5. Deham pranamapi indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu.
Deham
Pranamapiyanyaphi
Tribalan dhajadopama tohamiti bhranta rasham vadinaha.
Tribalam
Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyoma Vyamoha Samharine.
Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyamoha Samharine.
Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
Tasmai Shri
Guru
Murtaye Namah
Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
Okay, so look at the line Viduhu, the last word. Deham pranam api indriyani api chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Viduhu. Many people think, so he is giving the views of other people. Many people think tu aham iti. So tvaham iti in the second line, the second word, it has to be broken up properly. Tu aham iti. Many people think tu means but or indeed, themselves to be aham iti. Themselves to be what? Deha, body, vadinaha. So there are people who are called deham vadinahas or deha vadinahas. People who think that the body is all there is and nothing else. So there are people who think that there is only the body, and this is of course the modern view. In fact, there is an entire philosophy around this called Charvaka philosophy, which is very common to a lot of commonalities with today's modern materialism. And many people who are analysts, scientists, they say that only science can only support this view, that the body alone is. And in their view, there is no Sukshma Shariram, there is no mind which survives the death of the physical body. All emotions are, neurons only, they are neurological disturbances. All knowledge is a change in the electrical flow in the brain. So, very matter-oriented, no question of causal bodies, no question of subtle bodies, no question of rebirth. Okay. And there are some other people who go one step beyond. So, pranam api, indriyani api. So, prana and sense organs are there. So, some people go beyond the physical body, but they stop at the pranas. And some people go beyond that and stop at the indriyas, the sense organs. So they're all broadly, you can say, there are all various groups which can be classified under Charvaka materialism. And then there are others. Chalam, Buddhim, Chashunyam. So Buddhi here means the Atma. So Chalam Buddhi means they say that the Atma is constantly moving, active. That is one darshanam. And there is another one, Shunyam. They say nothing is there, only Shunyam is there. So we are talking about one of the 4 categories of Buddhism, which we call Yogacara Buddhism. So they say, these people say that consciousness is Atma, and that Atma, the only difference from us is it is Chalam. It is constantly active, constantly moving, and therefore there is no one Atma. It's a constant flow. Right? Like if you go to the river and you are having a bath, or you put your leg in the river, the water that you put your leg into at the first instant is not the same water in which your leg is after 5 seconds, because the water has moved. So it's not the same water as the previous second. Similarly, these people say that Atma is constant flow. And this constant flow of consciousness, that is Atma. Shanika Atma. It is Atma is only is available in every instant. The Atma of the first instant is not the same as the Atma of the next instant. So constantly flowing consciousness is Atma. So that is one aspect of Buddhism. And there is another aspect which says Shunyam Aham iti Viduhu. He says that this consciousness is constantly changing. And therefore, there is consciousness which arrives, which departs, another consciousness which comes. And what is in between this arrival and departure, that is called Shunyam. And that Shunyam is Atma. Right? So earlier on about Yogacara Buddhism, where we talked about constantly moving consciousness. And here we are saying that in between the coming and going consciousness, there is a separation, there is a blankness. And that blankness is called Shunyam. And this Shunyam is Atma. So this is called Shunyavada Buddhism. As another name also, Madhyamika Buddhism. So there are 2 darshanas of Buddhism discussed here. One is Yogacara and one is Madhyamika or Shunyavada. And Shankara here says both of them Bhrantaha, they are mistaken. Why? Because they talk about this Brisham all the time, and nobody can make them alter their position. Nobody can logically argue with them, because Brisham Vadinaha, they forcefully argue that what they say alone is right. So talking to them is it's a waste of effort. Like in these Japanese movies, you see that the Shishya goes to the teacher, and the Shishya is so full of ideas that the teacher can't teach anything because he's already full. And therefore, he brings the teacup and keeps pouring the tea into it. Once the tea is full, he still keeps pouring the tea, and the tea starts to flow out. And the Shishya says, "What are you doing, teacher? The cup is already full. How can any more tea go in?" And the teacher tells the student, "That is the same problem with you. You're already full. How can I teach you anything?" Right? So this is the same idea that Shankara is saying. These people are completely full of their own ideas. You can't talk to them at all. And then in the next word, Stri Balan Dhajada Upama. So Shankara is talking to us about different types of mistakes or different types of defects in the person. So he says, first he says Stri. Okay, now Stri, Shankara uses the Stri literally means lady or woman or female. Okay. And we have to understand this carefully, because in general, we say that females are more emotional than males. Now, this may not really be true, and I don't think there is any disrespect meant here. So it is not the type of the person, male or female, that we are talking about. It is the type of the mind. So a mind which is extremely emotional is being referred to as Stri over here. Okay, so emotional predominance. So one of the first defects which Shankara uses the word Stri for is that the emotional aspect of the mind is dominant in that person. The Manomaya is stronger than the Vijnanamaya. In every aspect of life, emotions are what? Are conclusive. Emotions very often overrule the rational part of the mind. And for such a person, Shankara says 3. Emotional predominance is a problem, right? Because it affects Vivekaha. And if you remember Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna accepts this when he says Karpanya dosha upahata svabhavaha. The compassion, misplaced compassion, has completely made me emotional so that I can no longer think. And here also, Shankara is saying that even in the spiritual path, if your mind is so emotional that you need a relationship with God, and therefore what will happen is that you will have a Ishta Devata, you will have a Ekarupa Ishvara, and you will be a very fierce Bhakta. There will be an emotional relationship between you and Ishvara, your Ekarupa Bhakta, right? And when you come to Jnanam, you have to drop the Ekarupa, you have to in fact drop the Anekarupa also, and you have to move on to Arupa, formless Ishvara. And that is why you will find that in most cases, in predominantly Bhakti schools, they talk of security through love, building a relationship with Ishvara, all of which presuppose a form. You have to have a Ekarupa Ishvara. You have to have a Krishna, or you have to have Vishnu, or you have to have a Narayana to relate to, right? And if you want to come to Jnanam, you should have the emotional strength to drop that relationship, to drop that one Rupa Ishvara. Because only in an emotionally strong mind, the Ashparsha, Ashabda, the formless, Arupa, Arasa, Agandha, not that Ishvara which is not graspable by any of our Indriyas. Ashabda, Asparsha, Arupa, Arasa, Agandha, Ishvara. For that kind of an Ishvara to have appeal, your mind has to be very strong, which means it should be able to let go of the Ishvara with form. Ekarupa Ishvara has no place for a person who is in the final stages of Jnana. It doesn't mean that you have to disregard. It means that dependence has to stop. You can still worship Ekarupa Ishvara, but the dependence has to stop. So, Shastra is saying that initial stages, having a relationship with the Ekarupa Ishvara is good, but as you grow, you have to grow out of the need. You have to become emotionally mature and then come towards Arupa Ishvara. And therefore, when as a student of Vedanta, if I find that I have my need for this Ekarupa Ishvara, for the Ishta Devata, for the personal God, with whom I can have a relationship, if I find that need continues, then that need can become an obstacle for assimilation of Jnana. Right? For the problem is, what does Jnanam do? Supposing my Ishta Devata is Krishna. What does Jnanam do? Jnanam will tell me that this Krishna you worship is not the real Krishna. Who is the real Krishna? What does Jnanam say? Anybody? We're all advanced students. You should know the answer.
You yourself.
You yourself are Krishna, right?
Yeah.
So, and if therefore I have this need for a relationship with Krishna, and I am Krishna, what happens to the relationship? I can't have the relationship. And therefore, I need to be able to overcome that particular need, that dependence I need to be able to overcome. Ekarupa Ishvara, with whom I have to have a relationship, will become an obstacle in my pursuit of Jnana. So, here Shankara is, just by using one word, is of Stri. He has said all this. Then he says Bala. Bala is what? A child who is not trained to think. A child whose immature intellect is there. An immature intellect means this child has not been able to get Jnana Yogyata. Sadhana Chatushtayam is not there. Without the Sadhana Chatushtayam, how can you ever assimilate Vedanta? So, Stri, Balaha, two types of people, two types of defects for whom Vedanta can never be assimilated. Then the third one is Andha, blind. So intellect which is not supported by scriptures, right? Why is it necessary? Because if I want to study, let us say, bacteria or microbes, I need a microscope. And if I want to study the stars or the planets, I need a telescope, right? Similarly, if I need to study Shastram, I need Vedanta. And to think I can study Vedanta using my intellect alone is like trying to study the bacteria or the stars by using your naked eyes. To understand scripture, I should have the eye which has been trained by the scripture. It is called Buddhi Chakshuhu, the intellectual eye. And I should have the aid of Shastram, which is called Shastra Chakshuhu. So both Buddhi Chakshu and Shastra Chakshu I should have. Without that, trying to come to Vedanta is a waste of time. So there is a very nice little verse. Yasya nasti swayam pragnya shastram tasya karoti kim lochanabhyam vihinasya darpanaha kim karishyati. So let's look at the words. Yasya nasti swayam pragnya. That person who does not have his own discriminatory faculty, whose intellect has not been trained to discriminate. Shastram tasya karoti kim. What can Shastram do for that person? The next line is an example. Lochana bhyam vihinasya, for the person who has no eyes. Darpanaha kim karishyati. What can the mirror do for that person? Just as the mirror cannot help the person who has no eyes, Shastram cannot help the person who has not developed his intellect. The discriminatory faculty, if he has not developed, Shastram cannot help at all. And in fact, in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Shankara specifically mentioned somewhere that to know Easwara, to understand Vedanta, you have to have a very keen intellect supported by Guru. Guru means what? Shastra Upadesha. So supported by Guru Shastra Upadesha alone can I know Easwara. So that is the third one. I should not be intellectually blind. And the fourth one is Jada. Jada means, basically it means that which is not inert, right? So stunted. Here it is retarded, stunted. An intellect which is stunted, growth is not possible because of some, prarabdha, some purva janma pratibandha, some obstacle, right? What is the difference between balaha and jadaha? Balaha is not trained, but he has the potential to be trained. Jadaha does not have the potential. For him, Shastram is just not possible. And therefore, these three, Balan, Jadaha, these are all what? Symbolic for four different types of minds. So you have to break that word carefully. Three, Bala, Andha, Jada. That is how the four things come, right? So these are all symbolically used for four different types of minds. How do we know? He says, Maya Shaktihi Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha Samharine. So it's a very long compound, right? What does the Guru do? Samharine. So remember that this word can be pronounced Saiharine also. Both pronunciations are okay. The Guru here is of course Daxinamurthy. Samharine, Saiharine. What does he do? Maha Vyamoha. Vyamoha is great. Vyamoha is a delusion. Maha is great. The Guru removes this great delusion. The confusion he removes. And what is the problem with having this confusion? It causes a problem because vilasaha, that problem is a confusion. Vilasa literally meaning confusion, is kalpitaha, is projected onto the mind. So literally vilasa means diversion or a disturbance. So you can take the word Maya Shakti Vilasaha is Maya Shakti Kalpita Vilasaha. the disturbances caused in the mind by the play of Maya, right? And who is the one who removes it? It is the Guru. The Guru, by giving Jnanam, he removes that confusion. And therefore he says, to that Guru, I pay my obeisances. Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaha Idam Sri Daxinamurthy. Such a great Guru, I pay my respects, I pay my obeisances. Okay, now we look at verse number 6. We will chant. All these are difficult meters. So you guys can, of course, develop your own chanting style. Rahugrasta Divakarendu Sadrisho Maya Samachhadanat.
Rahugrasta
Divakarendo
Divakarendu
Maya
Maya
Samachhadanat
Tanmatra Karanopasamharanato Yo Bhut Sushuptah Puman.
Karanopasamharanato
Samharanato Yo
Sushuptapuman
Prakaswapsamiti prabodha samaye yapratikbhignayate.
Pragaswapamiti prabodha
Pragaswapamiti
samaye yah
prabodha samaye yah pratyabhinyayate.
Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
Tasmai
Shri Guru
Shri Guru
Murtaye Nama
Murtaye
Idam
Nama Idam
Shri
Shri
Dakshinamurtaye.
So he is giving an example. Rahu Grastaha. What is Rahu?
He's one of those demons who was cut at his torso, and he actually now swallows Chandra, and he causes this lunar eclipse.
So you can take it as a shadow, right? The shadow which eats up the moon or the sun. So Rahu Grastaha, that which has been grasped by Rahu, Divakara Induhu. So Induhu and Divakar, sun and the moon, when they are grasped by Rahu, what happens? They get eclipsed. Similarly, Sadrisho Samachhadanat Maya, completely covered by Maya. What happens? Now you break up carefully. Yaha Abhutaha Sushuptaha Pumana. So that word breakup is carefully to be done. Yaha, then you have to put a there, and avagraha has to be dropped. So yaha abhuta sushuptaha pumana. That yaha pumanaha, that person who is abhutaha, who remains sushuptaha, in deep sleep, right? So that person who remains in sushupti avastha, in deep sleep, what happens to him? Karana upasamharanaha. All the instruments, the mind and the jnanendriyas, upasamhara, are withdrawn, right? And then what happens? Yaha pratyabhignayate, the one who recognizes prabodha samaye. When does he recognize? When I wake up. The one who recognizes prabodha samaye, when I wake up. What does he recognize? Prag avapsyam iti, before I slept, right? So here, very carefully, Shankara is saying that he's actually negating both these Buddhism, schools which we talked about. And here specifically, that Buddhism which says that the ultimate truth is Shunya, Shunyavadi Buddhism, Madhyamachara Buddhism. Ultimate truth is Shunya, blankness, emptiness, non-existence of everything is the ultimate truth, says the Shunyavadi. And for him, this is the argument. The basis for the argument that nothing exists is the Sushupti Avastha. He also uses the same avasthas as we use. So he says, in Sushupti Avastha, what happens? Triputi is not there, right? Pramata is not there, Pramanam is not there, and Pramayam is not there, and not experienced. Rather than saying not there, I will say not experienced. They're all seemingly absent. And Shunyavadi points out that since everything is absent in Sushupti Avastha, there is only Shunyam. And if we are saying that the Adhishthanam, the substratum of the three avasthas is Atma, then Atma is nothing but Shunyam because nothing exists. Right? And so here Shankara says that in that Sushupti Avastha, something exists. What is that? Pure existence. And that pure existence is not available for transactions. Why? Because pure existence, Tat principle, cannot transact. It needs the Upadhi to transact. It needs the reflecting medium to transact. So during Jagrata and Swapna Avastha, the Panchaganyana and Antakaranam, the instruments of transaction are all functional, right? Therefore, Vikshepa Shakti is active in both the avasthas, Jagrata and Swapna. But in Sushupti Avastha, the Jnanendriyanis and the mind, Antakaranam, they are not present at all. They are in resolved condition. Only one thing works in Sushupti Avastha. What is that? Pranamaya Kosha. And therefore he is saying that this Vikshepa Shakti, Vikshepa principle is temporarily withdrawn in Sushupti Avastha. And because Vikshepa goes away, what becomes prominent is the other aspect of Maya. So Maya has two Shaktis, Vikshepa and Avarna. When Vikshepa is resolved, Avarna Shakti is predominant. And therefore, this Atma, this I, which has the Upadhi is absent. And therefore, there are no transactions. In Swapna Avastha and Jagrata Avastha, the I is a limited I. But why limited? Because it is not Upadhis.
जो बचा हुआ है
Whoever is
कल
got
का
this mic on,
बात
please put
सुनो।
it off. Okay, I put it off. Fine. Sorry. So in Swapna and Jagrata Avastha, remember the I is limited, right? In Sushupti Avastha, the I has no transactions, but the I is unlimited because there are no upadhis to limit. But both in Swapna and Jagrata Avastha, the I has got upadhis. The limitations of the upadhis seemingly limit the I. And when the mind is present, I am who? I am the knower, I am the thinker, I am the seer, I am the hearer, etc. Right? And if I say that the knower I is absent, you should carefully understand the I is not absent. The knower I refers to the upadhi conditioned I. And therefore, if I say knower I is absent, what I have to say is replace that knower I with upadhi limited I or upadhi conditioned I is absent in Sushupti Avastha. What is the definition of the upadhi conditioned I? It is RM, reflecting medium, the upadhi, plus the OC, original consciousness. RM plus OC is what? RC. And therefore, remember that when the upadhi is not functional, when the RM is not functional, the combination of RM and OC can also not be functional. You cannot say that OC has gone away, but you can definitely say that RC has gone away because RM is not functional. And therefore, whenever RM is not functional, remember that RC is also not functional. But also remember that whether RM is functional or not, whether RC is functional or not, OC continues to exist. OC never goes away. Therefore, in Sushupti Avastha, I lose this upadhi conditioned existence. But the pure existing I remain. Right? However, of course, since there is no upadhi, this unconditioned OC, the unconditioned I, is not available for any transaction. And because of Avarna Shakti of Maya, I am unable to recognize this pure unconditioned I, because Avarna Shakti makes me see only the conditioned I, the I conditioned by the upadis. And therefore Shankara says, Yaha abhuta puma sushupteshu, the person who abhuta means remains, in Shushuptaha, in Shushupti Avastha, for him, what is there? Tamachadanat Mayaha. He is completely covered by Maya. Similar to Sadrasho, similar to Rahugrasta Divakara Indhu. Similar to the Rahu which has grasped or overcome the sun. Similar to the Rahu which has overcome the moon, meaning that there is eclipse over there. Sun is not seen because of the eclipse. Moon is not seen because of eclipse. And that is why Rahu is also called Chaya in Shastram. Chaya means shadow, hiding. The shadow hides the sun. The shadow hides the moon. What is to be remembered is whether the shadow hides the sun or the moon, whether the eclipse is there or not, whether sun is hidden or covered or not, does it exist or not? Yes. Even if the sun cannot be seen because of the eclipse, the sun is still there. Even if the moon cannot be seen because of the eclipse, the moon is still there. Similarly, even when this unconditioned I cannot be experienced or cannot be seen during Sushupti Avastha, no activity of this unconditioned I is there because all the arams are resolved during Sushupti Avastha. You must remember that unconditioned I, who is me, has not gone away. It is there only. So we often take the example of the light on the hand example. When I put up the hand, you can see the hand, right? Or you can see the absence of the hand. But it takes a conscious effort to bring to mind that whether the hand is there or not, the light is still there, right? So this I is only covered. It does not go away. And the first Shankara says there is no shunyam at all, because it is just appears to be shunyam because the I is not functioning. The function of the I cannot be seen in the absence of the upadis. And therefore, I, the jiva, I, the atma, am not shunyam. I, the atma, am pure sat and chit alone. Pure existence and pure consciousness. Sadabhasaha, the reflected sit, sat plus abhasaha, sadabhasaha, the reflected sat, and chidabhasaha, the reflected chit, are easily seen and recognized. But the pure sat and the pure chit, it needs a lot of viveka shakti to understand. And so he says san matraha, sat matraha, only sat was present because the jiva was abhutaha, not entering into any transactions, absent, not entering into any transactions. That jiva was, however, absent only as the RC. But that jiva was present as sanmatraha, pure existence principle, as sat and chit. That jiva was present. Okay. Now, when you say that pure sat, existence is not available for transactions, you can say that even non-existence, I mean, it is a objection being made. If you are saying that this pure sat, sanmatraha, sat matraha, pure sat, without upadis, is not available for any transaction, the person who objects, Purvapakshi, he might say that for that matter, even non-existence is not available for transactions, right? When you say something is not available for transactions, you are simply making a statement. But I am saying that even non-existence cannot transact. So why is it that you are saying that it is pure consciousness which cannot transact? It can be pure non-existence also which cannot transact. So there is really no proof that there is a pure consciousness which cannot transact, which exists. Right? What is the answer we give? There are three tools, three supports which we can use. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava. Right? Shruti is scriptural statements, Yukti is logic, scriptural logic, Shastra logic, and Anubhava, experience. Now, in this particular verse, Shankara does not use or quote Shruti or use Yukti, but he uses Anubhava. But before we come to that, let us first look at the Shruti and Yukti support. So in Shruti, there is a teaching. It comes in Chandogya Upanishad. So there the teacher is a gentleman called Uddalaka, and his son called Shwetaketu is a student. So the Uddalaka tells his son, his student, when a person goes to sleep, he is not becoming non-existent. He is withdrawing into his true nature. Okay, this is the English translation. I'm not giving you the Shruti because we have not done Chandogya, but this is a text. The teacher tells the student that when a person goes into Sushupti Avastha, there is no question of him becoming non-existent. What he has done is withdrawn into Sat, his true nature. So that is the Shruti support. That transacting Atma means Atma which has withdrawn into true nature. Then there is logic. The logic is what? It is scientific logic also. An existing thing cannot be destroyed. And that's number one statement. An existing thing cannot be destroyed. And number two is out of a non-existing thing, nothing can be born. Right? So if I am existent, there is no way I can become non-existent. And if I am non-existent, I can never become existent. And therefore the Shunyavada argument that when in Sushupti Avastha I become non-existent, that argument cannot be supported, because if I become non-existent, then there is no way that I can become existent again. And of course, if I am already existing, there is no way that I can become non-existent. So these two logical statements are the Yukti support, the logical support for our argument. Then Shankara quotes Anubhava. So he says, Prag Swa Vapsyam iti. Prag Avapsyam iti. So before I slept, what happened? Yaha Pratyabhignayate, the one who recognizes Prabodha Samaye, when waking up, that I was the one who slept. Right? Pratyabhignayate. How do I recognize that I was the one who slept? Well, I say that I slept well. I had no dreams. So on waking up, I say that I was there before I went to sleep and I slept very well. Therefore, what I am saying is that I was present when I was in deep sleep also. Right? So if you look at the grammar part of it, the word slept is a verb. Right? And that verb refers to the subject I. So in that I slept well, when you say in that sentence, I recognize what? That there was I in Jagrata Avastha, there was I in Sushupti Avastha, and again when I wake up, that same I am there. Remember, it cannot be different I's. If I have to recognize that I was there before sleeping, then it is the same I. The continuity of the I is established because of this Anubhava, because of this experience. Shankara says that the very recognition, so the word uses pratyabhignya, the recognition of the fact that I slept well, is recognition of the fact that there is continuity of the I. And when you say Prag Avapsam iti, before I slept, you are saying the same I was present before I slept, the same I was present in my sleep, and the same I is present after I wake up. Right? Of course, there is one difference. What is that? Can you make out? In Jagrat and Swapna, there is a I. In Sushupti also, there is a I, but there is a technical difference between these three I's. What is that?
Acharya ji, are you referring to Vishwa Tejasa here?
You can look at that way also. But what I'm trying to say that in Jagrat and Swapna, there is a conditioned I. Why? Because in Jagrat and Swapna, there is the RM. So when you say I existed, it was the RC. In Jagrat Avastha and Swapna Avastha, not Sushupti. Swapna Avastha, the I refers to the RC. In Sushupti Avastha, the RM is not there. So I refers to the OC. Of course, even when I say RC, you cannot discount OC because without OC, RC is not there. And therefore, I, the OC, am present in all the three avasthas.
So Acharya ji, the term you used, unconditioned I in Sushupti Avastha,
Yeah.
That refers to Atma, pure Atma?
That refers to Atma or the OC, or original consciousness. Unconditioned means upadhis are garbage.
Upadhi unconditioned, yes.
Upadhi unconditioned I. Right? Okay. If that is
Thank
so,
you.
then can you not say that Shunyavada is the same as pure existence? Right? If you are saying that Shunyavada is the same as pure existence, Vedanta has no quarrel. Because if the Buddhist says that this unconditioned I, which has no transactional ability, is Shunyam, you have to accept it by saying that yes, if you say that Shunyam means no transactions, then we accept. If you say Shunyam means absence of anything, then we don't accept. So with that particular verses. Any questions? Because these are all very important verses. They are actually putting together all the Vedanta that you have learned so far.
Acharya ji,
Haji.
can you please give the complete sentence of the translation? Not word by word, but if you translate it completely, how will it be the verse?
The verse. All right. So because it is Sanskrit, you have to. I'll give you the translation, and you need to put it together again. Rahu grasta divakara induhu sadrusho samachadanat mayaha. Like the sun and the moon, which has been eclipsed by or grasped by Rahu, this jiva who is Sushupti is completely covered by Maya. Ye yo bhoot Sushupta puman. This jiva who is Sushupti is completely covered by Maya. How? Karanam upasamharanato. All the instruments, the mind and the Jnanayendriyas have been withdrawn, and then that same jiva who in Sushupti Avastha had all the organs withdrawn, yaha pratyapi jnayate prabodha samaye. When he wakes up, he recognizes prag avapsamiti, that same jiva who was present before I slept. In short, that is what I just explained.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Yeah, it's basically you just put them together and get the running meaning. All right. So then we have enough time, I think, for one more verse. So let us look at verse number 7. We will chant. बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा सर्वास्वस्था बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा
बाल्यादिष्वपि
जाग्रदादिषु तथा
सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि
सर्वास्वस्वपि
व्यावृत्तास्वनुवर्तमानहम् इत्यन्तः स्फुरन्तं सदा.
Sfurantam sada.
Svatmanam prakriti karoti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya.
Svatmanam prakati karoti bhajatam
Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye.
Tasmai
Shri
Shri Guru Murtaye
Nama
Nama
idam
Idam
Shri
Shri
Dakshinamurtaye.
Dakshinamurtaye.
Okay. So, Sarva, that's Sarvasva Vasthasvapi. You break it up into Sarvasu Avasthasu Api. Sarvasu Avasthasu Api means in all the avasthas, in all the three states of experience or all states of experience, and he gives examples. Balyadishvapi, Balya Adishu Api, like childhood, Jagrid Adishu Api, or the waking state. What happens? Vyavrittasu anuvartamanam aham iti antaha swarantam sada. So that breakup has to be proper. Vyavrittasu anuvartamanam aham iti antaha swarantam sada. So vyavrittasu. Vyavritti is a experience. Vyavrittasu, in different state of experience, aham anuvartamanam. I am always present. I, the OC, am always present. As what? Antaswarantam, shining within, sada, always shining within. And in this way, swatmanam prakriti karoti, my own nature, swatmanam prakriti karoti, is made evident, is revealed. How? Mudraya bhadraya. So mudras are hand gestures, and bhadram means auspicious words. So the teacher reveals the fact that I am present in all experiences, which means what? Teacher reveals the fact that I, the OC, am there irrespective of what kind of avastha it is. And the teacher uses auspicious words. Auspicious words refer to words of the Shastram. And mudra, hand gestures, uses yo bhajatam, to that student, to that devotee, seeker. And Shankara is telling us again what the teacher is saying. So he swatmanam, my own nature, which is what? Sada antasfurantam, always shining within me. It is present in every experience as I am, as this is. Wherever you use the terms I am or this is, the isness or the amness refer to my own nature, which is consciousness alone. And therefore, Atma Anubhava, this experience of the Atma, is always present. That's why Sada. One doesn't have to go to any particular state to experience the Atma. Sada antasfurantam, that experience is always present. And therefore, that's why we say so many times, never say that you are looking for Atma experience. Because the moment you say that I have studied Vedanta, now I have understood Atma, now I want Atma experience, the teacher will say that you have not understood Vedanta, and therefore more Shravanam is required. So the person who has understood will stop looking for Atma Anubhava, because he knows in whatever he is doing, that experience of Atma is always present. And so, Vyavrittasu Anuvartamanam, in different states of experience, that I never goes away. I need not look for Atma experience outside. It is always there. Sarvasu Avasthasu Api, in all states of experience. Avastha here can mean the three avasthas, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. It all can also mean the various stages of your life, which is the example that Shankara gives. He says, Balyadishu api, childhood, Jagradadishu api. So, api here also means etc. Adishu, Bala, Adishu, api. Even in Balya, childhood, and Adi represents the others, teenage, adults, old age, etc. So Balyadi means all the time frames of your life. And Jagrad Adishu means the three avasthas. Jagrad, Swapna, Sushupti. All these are different stages. But what is he saying? I, the witness consciousness, am common to all these. I, the OC, am common to all this. And that's why the words Vyavrittam and Anuvartam are very important. Vyavrittam means different, and different what? Different stages, different avasthas. Anuvrittam means persisting, continuing. And therefore, I am Anuvrittam. I am the persisting entity. I, the unconditioned I. I persist, I remain Vyavritam in all the avasthas, which is RC, OC, RM, conditioning upadhis are there. And all the avasthas which are caused by the conditioning upadhis, I will find that whichever type of RC there is, I will find that OC is there. So I can have any RM. The body can be RM, mind can be RM, anything can be RM. But for the RC to be formed, the OC is there. OC has to be there. And therefore, OC is Anuvrittam in all the avasthas. And if in our own life, you can analyze all the experiences, all the different stages, and you will find that as a child, you were different from the teenager. As a teenager, you are different from the date you were an adult. As an adult, you are different from the old man which you are today. In the waking state, you are different from the sleeper, dreamer. In the dreaming state, you are different from the sleeper. These attributes are all different. They cannot exist simultaneously, right? You cannot be young and old at the same time. You cannot be angry and peaceful at the same time. They are all different. So include these attributes in the unconditioned OC. What do you have? You have the RC, the Ahankara. Exclude the attributes from the Ahankara, the RC. What do you have? You have the OC, the unconditioned I. And through this teaching, Shankara is saying that as a assimilation of this teaching, you should have two buckets always. In one bucket, it will be the always available unconditioned I, the OC. In bucket number 2, you can put all the attributes, all the upadhis, the man, the boy, the girl, the mind, all the attributes, anger, jealousy, fear, everything you can put in bucket number 2, right? And this idea, Swatmanam, the unconditioned I, Prakriti Karoti, is made evident to you by the teacher. And even earlier, when I said I included in the I not only the body, the mind, but I included attributes like anger, jealousy, etc. And therefore, I would say things like I am angry, I am jealous. But now, after the teaching, I have learned when I say I, exclude all the attributes, exclude all the upadhis. And when I say I am talking about only Brahman. And Ahankara cannot be included in that classification because it is the bucket number 2. And this is taught to whom? Yo bhajatam, to the student, to the seeker. It is taught by Bhadraya, Mudraya, verbal and non-verbal communication. It is taught, right? So Bhadraya means auspicious words. Mudraya means expressions of the body and gestures, all of which the teacher uses. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Basically, this idea is, the main idea is that I am the OC, I am always present. Whatever else is there, when you say I am, I refer to the OC. Anything you add after the am, boy, girl, angry, jealous, sad, in pain, happy, all are only attributes. All should be in bucket number 2. I should be in bucket number 1. Be aware of both the buckets. Claim yourself as bucket number 1. Any questions? Okay, so you can meditate upon bucket number 1 over the weekend.
So Acharya, the bucket number 1 is always Paramarthika Satyam and bucket number 2 is Mithya.
Correct. Bucket number 1 is always Paramarthika Satyam. Bucket number 2 is always Mithya. But as long as you are a body, you will have both. Important to know who I really am. You need bucket number 2 for all your transactions. Even to study Vedanta, you need bucket number 2. But you should know that I am bucket number 1.
But bucket 2 is very heavy.
Yes, but bucket 2, without bucket 2, there is no bucket 1 available to you. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.
Om
Thank you
Tat
for
Sat,
listening.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om
Thank you,
Acharya.
Acharya.
Thank you, Acharya.